For almost 3,000 years, one single story has pretty much defined our entire idea of what an epic hero is, what war is, what rage is. But what if I told you that almost everything you think you know about Homer's Iliad is wrong? We're going to dive into this because the real story is so much tighter, so much more focused, and honestly, so much more human than the legend. So let's just start with that big question. When you think of the Iliad, what pops into your head? You probably picture a giant wooden horse, right? Or this massive 10-year-long war for the city of Troy, the fall of a great civilization. Well, you might want to sit down for this, but it's actually about none of those things. That's right. The Trojan Horse, it's not even in the Iliad, and the poem doesn't cover the whole 10-year war. Not even close. It focuses on just a few incredibly intense weeks in the final year. The real subject is spelled out for us in the very first word of the original Greek text, menis, wrath, and specifically the all-consuming wrath of the greatest warrior who ever lived, Achilles. Okay, so to really get why he was so unbelievably angry, we have to understand the code these warriors lived and died by. And it all boils down to two absolutely crucial ideas. First up, we have time. Now, this isn't just, a fuzzy feeling of respect. No. It is the physical, tangible proof of your honor. Think of it like your reputation made real. It's the treasure, the prizes, the captives you're awarded after a battle. It's how everyone around you can literally see just how valuable you are. And all of that time, all that tangible proof of worth, it's all in service of the ultimate prize, Kleos. This is imperishable glory. In a world where the afterlife was seen as this kind of bleak, shadowy place, Kleos was absolutely everything. It's the stories they tell about you, the songs they sing about you long after you're gone. It was a hero's only real shot at becoming immortal. And right here, this is the heart of the conflict. Achilles, the best of the best, is fighting for that glory, for Kleos. But Agamemnon, the guy in charge, publicly humiliates him by taking away his prize of honor, a captive woman named Briseis. He literally steals his Timea. Now, for Achilles, this isn't just an insult. It's a fundamental violation of the entire warrior code. If your honor can just be taken away by your boss on a whim, then what is the point of fighting and dying? His whole world just shatters. So, Achilles quits. He withdraws from the war, and the consequences are absolutely devastating. He just sits in his tent, fuming, while his friends and his countrymen are being slaughtered by the Trojans. And we start to see the unbearable cost of that broken code. And at this point, Achilles starts questioning the very meaning of his life. See, he always knew he was fated to die if he stayed at Troy. He accepted that as the price for getting his Kleos. But now, with his honor just thrown in the dirt, he asks himself, why? Why should I trade my one and only life for a glory that apparently means nothing? He completely rejects the system. Well, with the Greeks on the verge of being wiped out completely, Achilles' closest, most beloved friend, Patroclus, comes up with this desperate plan. He begs Achilles to let him wear his famous, godlike armor into battle. The idea is that just the sight of it will terrify the Trojans and give the Greeks a chance. Achilles finally agrees, but he gives him one critical warning. Push them back from the ships, but do not go any further. But Patroclus, he gets caught up in the glory of battle. He completely forgets the warning. He pushes the Trojans all the way back to the city walls, and there he is cut down by the Trojans' greatest champion, Prince Hector. When the news reaches Achilles, it completely transforms him. That earlier anger he had at Agamemnon over honor, it suddenly feels so small, so petty. It's instantly replaced by a grief so deep it becomes this new, all-consuming rage. A monstrous, terrifying need for revenge, aimed at just one man, Hector. So this final act shows Achilles returning to the fight, but he's not the hero he was before. He's something else, something terrifying, something inhuman. He's on a path from monster back to man. And what we get is this incredible paradox. On one hand, Homer describes Achilles as if he's already a ghost. He's mourning his own life, which he has now chosen to sacrifice. But at the exact same time, he is like a god on the battlefield, wreathed in divine fire, a completely unstoppable force of nature. He is utterly cut off from the rest of humanity. He hunts Hector down, he kills him, and then, in his madness and his grief, he does the unthinkable. He desecrates the body. He ties it to the back of his chariot and drags it through the dirt, refusing to give it back for the proper funeral rites. Now, this was the ultimate act of disrespect, an attempt to trap Hector's soul and isolate Achilles even further from his own humanity. And then we get one of the most powerful scenes in all of Western literature. Hector's elderly father, King Priam, risks absolutely everything. Guided by a god, he sneaks into the Greek camp at night, walks right into Achilles' tent, and he kneels and kisses the hands of the man who slaughtered his son. And in that moment, something inside Achilles just breaks. He looks at this old king who's lost his greatest son, and he immediately thinks of his own father, Peleus, who is about to lose his son. For the first time since Patroclus died, Achilles sees his own profound pain perfectly reflected in the eyes of his mortal enemy. He weeps with Priam. He gives Hector's body back. They even share a meal together. And through this incredible act of empathy for his sworn enemy, Achilles finally steps back from the edge of that abyss. The rage is released, and he rejoins the human community that he had totally abandoned. So, you see, in the end, the Iliad isn't really just about rage. It's about what comes after the rage. It's not about the glory of war, but about the shared grief that can connect us all. And it leaves us with this question that still echoes thousands of years later. In a world that is so often defined by violence and conflict, where do we find our shared humanity?